All right, I am recording. So try the app. So let's just create a theoretical. So if I was to create an e-commerce website, such as like Amazon or something, or just like a simple website, if you go to like Shopify, like Shopify. So if I wanted to create like a online Shopify account, what are some things I would need in order to successfully create an e-commerce website or application? What are some tables you think I might
Like a
need?
user table,
I'm sorry?
like a user account.
Yeah, is that necessary for an e-commerce website? Do I
You
have
need
to
to,
have a user?
well, you need to know who's buying what, right?
Not necessarily.
Okay, then.
Yeah, you
But
can
yeah, like
check out as a
that's an
guest.
option. Like you can be like, have you ever like went to a website and it's like check out as guest? So you don't actually have to like have like an actual user,
I
like an actual
guess.
user
Yeah.
account. But like,
Well,
yeah,
when
we
you
can
keep track of
definitely.
okay. I just thought, like, how would you keep track of who buys what then? Even if they're a guest, they still have to have a guest ID, right?
Right. Yeah. There you go. So we can even just say like, well, I don't even necessarily need like a guest or like a table for that. Like, what's another way people track, um, like what things are bought?
Inventory.
Inventory,
Or just orders.
orders, right? Yeah. So you like orders is the main thing. You'd be like, hey, here's an order. Here's what was bought in this order. But yeah, we can definitely have users or an ID. I forgot what it is, integer, something like that. And then like just say username for right now. And that's a string. And I'm going to zoom in because this is really, is that better? Is that better?
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So e-commerce website. So we're going to have orders, order ID, primary key integer. Okay. So yeah, like what goes on orders? What else do we need? I don't even know if we need anything on orders right now. We can just have an order. What else do we need if we're creating an e-commerce website? What else do we have?
Products.
Total cost.
I'm sorry.
Total cost.
Total cost. Would that be a table for just total cost?
Oh,
or
no,
is
no,
that,
no, 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 no.
or
That'd
can
be
we
in
just say
order.
Inventory.
Oh, so like
Do like a product.
you can talk about like orders. You can have like a total cost of that order. You can, yeah, you can store that, but there's so in an order, if you have a bunch of products in an order and you have the quantity of how many of each item that person bought, as well as maybe in the products table, you have how much that product costs. There's a way to query that. So you might not necessarily store that information in a table. So I heard someone say products. I heard someone say inventory. So products, we have ID, primary key, integer, like say name, that's a string. What else do we have? Price of that product. We can just say that's an integer. Cool. I heard someone else say like inventory as well. Yeah, I wonder if like, should we store inventory on the products table? I don't know. I literally don't know. Does anybody, what are people's thoughts on like storing that, like the number of an item in the inventory? Or should that be like a separate table?
I feel like that should be a separate table
And
where you would have like I guess the product ID, and then the value would be the amount of that product.
okay. So like inventory, and then we had an ID, primary key, integer, and then is this where we would have a so like product ID, integer. I forgot how this actually works from the docs tables. Oh, does anyone remember like what the actual? So it would be like FK or products. Is that how? Oh yeah, there we go. Cool. Is that right? And then also maybe quantity. There we go. Okay, so we're getting somewhere. So we have users, orders. So I think this is good for right now for like a bare bones. So
Tom,
yep.
I have a quick question. Is there a way in SQL to, I guess, limit like the quantity to be a positive integer and maybe like have a max quantity? Would that be a constraint or would that be something else?
That would be a validator. So if someone were to try to enter in like a number greater than what you want stored in your database, when you go to save it, it'd run it through a validator method or function and it'd like do some logic. Hey, is this number greater than?
Okay, so it has to be in the software layer, not it can't be done in the database layer. I can look it up. I was wondering if it's possible.
There might be a way to do it. I don't know, in like a SQL constraint, like how to actually do it in raw SQL. There might be a way to do it in Django when you're defining your models, but there definitely is a way to use it in Django using a validator method. But yeah, that's a good question. All right. So are we missing anything?
Addresses, right? When we need to know where to ship it to.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we can actually store that on the orders maybe too.
Okay.
All right, but yeah, like this looks good, but now my question is, okay, so we have products, orders, inventory, users. If can an order, like what belongs on the, or what is involved in an order? So when I create an order, what do I do? Like when I'm ordering something, what am I ordering?
A product.
Products.
Product. I heard product. So it could be an individual product, like one product, or many products, right? So an order can have many products. And a product can have many orders. So like I can order, I don't know, like a mug on Amazon, and Ankur can order the exactly same mug on Amazon. So an order can have many products, and a product can belong to many orders. Does that make sense? So what kind of a relationship is that?
Many to many.
A many-to-many relationship. So a product can belong to an order, and an order can have many products. I'm sorry. A product can belong to many orders, so multiple different orders, and an order can have many products. So that's a many-to-many relationship. And every time we have a many-to-many relationship, we have to create what is called, we call it a join table, but that, I guess that is kind of confusing because we also have that join query in SQL, but they're also called like junction tables or relationship tables. So right now, like there's nothing actually attaching a product to an order. So how do we go about doing that?
You just create another table.
Yep,
with,
exactly.
like a products orders table.
Products orders table. So exactly. So we're going to have an ID, and then in here we'll have a product ID. And then also an order ID. Cool. So there we go. We're starting to connect the dots. So lastly, if we want to have users, a user, an order belongs to a user. So on the orders table, we can have a user ID, and that'll be integer, foreign key. What else? Users. So now, anywhere, we can essentially, through a SQL query, we can go anywhere within our database. We can query pretty much anything. Before, when we didn't have this product orders table, there was no way to connect a product to an order or an order to a product. So when thinking about your tables, think about what tables have many to many relationships with one another. What questions do you have about a many to many relationship table?
So it's just pretty much the standard to say that if there is a many to many relationship, you need another table.
Yeah. Yep. And that's where a lot of students, because we'll explicitly like the tables are like pretty, I won't say obvious, but like when you're designing, like, oh yeah, there's a users table and orders tables, a products table. But when you're architecting your database, we're like, well, how do you connect a product to an orders table? Then how do you connect an order, or how do you make sure an order has many products? So it's like, all right, how do you do that? So that's where the products orders table, which is a relationship table, junction table, join table. There's many different terms for it. And yeah, these can have, but are not limited to just having these, the foreign keys of the two tables. They can have other information on here as well. So like product orders, it can be like the number, the quantity of each product. So like, what else? So maybe like this would be the quantity that product, like how many of each product I ordered for that specific order. So, yeah. All right. Is there-
Tom, when you have a
Yep.
many to many relationship, is that pretty much the gold standard is using one of those join tables? Or is there any other methods we could use?
No, like a many to many relationship always has a join table there. All right. Cool. What other questions do you have?
I had a question.
Yep, Kyle.
So if we're thinking of all of these like different, I guess, objects or functions, what would the product orders represent, like physically?
So the product orders, when you say like, what does it represent?
Yeah, like a user represents a user, or
So
like, what would
product, yeah. So product. Oh, I see what you mean. So I think, are you talking about like these tables representing like something physical, like a product, an order, where a product order, what does that represent?
yeah, does it
So
represent anything?
so yeah, it really doesn't represent anything. I would say it represents what product. It's essentially just what product belongs to what that specific order.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so my question, I guess, is in line with that as well. So each entry in that products orders table, there's going to be, for a single order ID in that table, there's going to be multiple entries.
Yep, exactly. So if I create an order, just a single order that has 3 items in it, it's going to make 3 entries into this product orders table. It's going to have an order ID. Say I'm the first person to order in this website or on this e-commerce website. So I'm the order ID of 1, but I ordered 3 products, say, that have an ID of 1, 2, and 3. So there's going to be 3 entries into the products orders table with an order ID of 1, and then a product ID of 1, 2, and 3. And then also, obviously, depending on how many I purchase of each product. So, yep. And so, yeah. So a single order can have 1 product or many products. And depending on how many products that belong to that order will determine how many entries for that order are entered into here. What other questions do you have? All right. Do you want me to see me go and build this in SQL? Would that be helpful? Or the querying? Come on.
I think querying.
Oh, I was gonna say build.
All right, yeah, I'll build it. All right. Desktops. SQL. Oh, that doesn't exist. That's it. I'll just say schema. All right, so if I wanted to create, what are like the first thing I should do at the very top of a schema? Drop table if exists. What do we got? We got users, products, orders, inventory, products, orders. All right, so we just have orders and cascade. Should make all those.
Zero is exist.
And thank you. No. Orders.
Where'd you learn how to do all this? Because
I'm sorry?
like, is there a good resource to learn how to like keyboard shortcuts?
Yeah, so if you see it, so if I want to highlight everything, so I'm like highlighting F, and then if I do Command D, it selects all the words or characters that have if in it, and then I can change it to whatever I want. And then if I wanted to go to the very back, or each user, I hold Alt or Option to like move. If I want to jump back and forth through the line, it's just Command. So yeah. Orders, products, inventory, and then products, orders. Is that what it is? Okay. So I'm going to do create table, orders, and then ID, that's serial primary key, comma. Is that all I needed on there? Oh, user ID. So I could say user ID, integer, and then it's going to reference the users table. But the users table doesn't exist yet. So if I were to run this, so hold on, if I did a create table, users, that just has name and a varchar, just say like 200. If I were to execute this, like run this in the terminal, it'd throw an error because it look in here, because it executes top to bottom, look in here, it says references users table doesn't exist, so it'd throw an error. So the placement of where you declare your tables matters. So we got users, username. So orders, let's do products, name, varchar 255. What else do we have? Inventory, products, inventory. Do we need inventory for products? So I'm just going to copy this down here. Product ID. Oh, products. Reference. Is that right? References.
Hey, Tom, I had a question.
Yep.
So on your first create table, do you always want to kind of avoid having a foreign key in that table?
Yeah, because they'll
Okay.
probably throw an error unless at the very bottom of your file you do the alter table or modify table at the very end. Because if it makes all the tables and then at the very end you alter those tables that have foreign keys, then that's okay. But yeah, I try to put all, if I'm referencing a table, I want that table to be already created before I'm referencing it in my code. Then products orders table. So I just copy that. Oh, it's already there. Damn it. And then I can do order ID orders. Cool. Does that look right? Oh, I guess quantity. Is it just integer? Yep. Okay. I can say like not null or default to 1. Can I even do that? Yeah. And now I need commas. Let's throw errors. All right. Or does that look right? Am I missing anything? So if I wanted to go ahead and create a database in my terminal, what's the command to create a database?
Create DB.
All right, create DB. I'm going to say this. I'll just say Shopify actually. Create DB, cool. And I can PSQL into it. So PSQL Shopify. All right, so I'm in my Shopify. If I wanted to inspect my tables, I'm in my database. I want to see what tables exist in it. What's the command for that? Did we cover this?
\D, I think.
Yep, \D. Okay, cool. There's no relations yet. So I'm going to quit and then I'm going to PSQL Shopify and insert into or load my schema file into my Shopify database. Cool, does not accept or does not exist. Okay, once we got all these create tables, that's great. That's what we want to see. I'm going to clear the terminal, go back into my database and look at all of my tables. That's cool. So I've got inventory, orders, products, and users. Now, if I want to inspect an individual table, I can inspect like my products table. And now here it's got some additional data on it. Like, all right, it's got the names, the ID field, or the column names, ID, name, and it says, the primary key. It says referenced by these other tables. So these just says, hey, these other tables reference the product table. Clear. All right. What questions do you have about creating your database?
So anytime we're using foreign keys, we should use that cascade pretty much on everything.
This part, yeah. Anytime you're dropping a table, can anybody explain to me what the cascade does?
Doesn't it just like cascade down into any table that particular table references or relies on?
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Cascade as in it's going to drop a table if the table you're trying to drop references that table.
Yep. Awesome. Cool. All right. Any questions about just creating a database, the schema? All right. Let's look at the school and let's run some queries on the school. So I know a couple people have talked about like PG, what is it, PG admin or something. This is a application. It's called Postico. It's a visual representation of databases. So these are all the databases that I have installed on my machine. And I'm going to go into the school database. You can see the tables I have, and you can jump into the actual what's inside each table. So I'm in my school. I can see the classes. I can see enrollments. So what kind of a table is enrollments?
Join table.
Yeah, it can be. So it could be, I mean, it acts as a join table, but again, it also has additional information on here. But it's called enrollments because, so if you have another table that explicitly has additional information on it, it doesn't have to be like, what is it called? Like students classes table. It could be, you know, enrollments table or grades table or something like that. Then we have some students on here. And if I wanted to enter in like a new student, I'd say like Tom, Preet, what is this? 16 and address ID, let's say it's 4 as well. If I'm going down here, I can preview the SQL query that I just did, insert into a public students, blah, blah, blah. So you can actually see what I'm actually entering into here. Then I can save the changes. Just a little help.
What's this called?
So that is called Postico. It's specifically for Mac. So if you're on a Windows machine, it doesn't exist. So it's super easy to use and set up. It's free. Even when you exit out of it, it'll tell you to donate money. But yeah, you can do a bunch of stuff in it. It's not as robust as, what is it, PG admin, but it's pretty straightforward. And nice to visualize your data and enter data quickly if you needed to. All right, so I'm going to PSQL into my school. So I'm in my school. Let's talk about, so did we go through, what was the challenge? SQL queries, read. So let's just go through some of these queries. So, or do you just want to start from the top and go down? Does anybody want to go? We can run through this real quick. Or you want to go through like the join tables?
I think the ones that are like like around there is when it starts to get fishy. The other ones are pretty straightforward.
Nice. All right. So yeah, let's do all of Tiana's enrollments that she hasn't yet received a grade for, selected by her first name, not her student ID, with the class's name included in the results set. All right, who the hell's winded? Okay. So I'm actually gonna copy that in here and just open up, put that up there. So what do we need to do? Select, actually I'm just do. There we go. No, don't save. So if I wanted to select all of Tiana's enrollments that she hasn't yet received a grade for, selected by her first name, not her last name. Her first name, not her student ID, with the class's name included in the results. So I need the classes in the result. I wish I had a visual representation of this to show you. But yeah, we can do like, all right, select. Well, I'm going to do everything in the terminal initially. So if I wanted to select everything from enrollments, I can from enrollments. So that's everything from enrollments. Cool. That's good. That she has yet to receive a grade for. So I need her first name, not her student ID. So if I memorize her student ID, that'd be cool, but I don't. So I'm gonna quit and clear, jump back in here. So I'm gonna select, if I wanted to select everything from, so I can do enrollments dot star. That's saying I want to select every single field from the enrollments. What other tables do I also want to bring in? So I've got enrollments.
Students and classes.
Students and classes. Okay. So let's bring in the students table. But I don't want just her. I don't want everything in the students table. Like you can bring in everything from the students table, but I'm not going to. I just want to bring in her first name. So first name from the students table. And someone said the classes. So I'm going to bring in the classes as well. But I'm just going to grab in the name of the classes because I don't want all of the other ancillary information. So from enrollments. So I'm bringing in everything from enrollments. Now I'm going to join the students table where enrollments dot student ID equals students dot ID. All right. Does that make sense? So I'm bringing in, where's the post-it go? So from enrollments, I'm bringing in I'm joining the enrollments and students table where the enrollments dot student ID equals the students dot ID. So I'm bringing in all the query, all this data, only the data where the student ID equals this student ID. But then I'm going to also need to bring in the classes as well. So I did that. Wait, hold on. I messed this up. Not where. On. So next I want to join the classes table. Hold on a second. I'm going to break this up. Ah, dang it. Well, I think I just messed that up. I'm quitting, starting over. So select enrollments dot star. So I'm bringing in all the enrollments, the students dot first name, and the classes dot name from enrollments. And then I'm going to join the students table on the enrollments dot student ID equals students dot ID. And then I'm going to bring in the classes table on where the enrollments dot classes, is it class ID or class ID? Does anybody remember? I think it's class ID equals classes dot ID. So I brought in the enrollments and students table together. Now I'm joining the enrollments and classes table together. Really, enrollments ID equal, or the enrollments dot class ID equals the classes dot ID. All right. Where, this is my where clause, where students dot first name equals Tiana. And so selected by her first name, not her student name, with the name class, with the class name included. So that's why we brought in the class's name. So that she hasn't received a grade for. So let's look at the grades and enrollments. So if you haven't received a grade, the grade will be null. So where students name equals Tiana and enrollments dot grade is null. Let's see what happens. Uh-oh. Where's that? Where did I misspell that? Oh.
Classes has two S's on line 3.
Yeah,
third
I
line.
just had to navigate it to it. Did I just mess that up? Okay, cool. Cool. So I've got her first name. So this is the class that she does not have a grade for. And I can even, if I didn't want to bring in everything in enrollments, if I just wanted to bring in like the grade, I can do that as well. So the grade is null, there's nothing there. I can also do X, display that as on, and it kind of shows it a little bit different. So if you ever do a big query and it brings in all the tables and it like wraps around, if you do an extended display X, it changes the display for you. So if I copy that, put that up there. So the double join table is where you want to join more than 2 tables. So if you do a single join, you're just bringing 2 tables together. But if you're bringing in 3 tables, or yeah, if you need to bring in 3 or more tables, you need to do a double join. Questions about that? And this is very long, so there's ways I can shorten this a little bit. So I can say like, is it bring in grades at, or where is it from enrollments? Is it as? And so instead of,
Yeah, you can just do as E, or I found that the as is optional, actually.
yeah. So if I do as that, I can do, instead of typing out enrollments every single time, I can do that. And I also join students as like ST. And now I can abbreviate students everywhere. Classes as like CL, and then that should also work. So if I do that, uh-oh. Select, oh, yep. So I guess is this gonna still work? I don't know. CL. Yeah. So it's a little bit shorter, not as much typing, but that still works. Questions about this? Nobody has any questions about double join tables? So yeah, let's just quickly review what this query is doing. So it's saying, hey, select the grade from the enrollments table. Also select the first name from the students table. Also select the class's name or the class name from the classes table. Now I'm saying from the enrollments table. So I'm starting from the enrollments table as EN. So that's an abbreviation. I'm joining the students table. So from the enrollments table, joining in the students table, on, so like where, I don't want to say where, but on where the student ID in the enrollments table equals the student ID. And then I'm also, so I've got that, I'm bringing that table in. So that's a table that's combined with itself. And then I'm also bringing in the classes table. So I'm bringing in the classes table where the class ID in the enrollments table equal the class ID in the classes table. So I've got all those like joined together. And then I'm saying, hey, where Tiana's first name or the first name in the students table equals Tiana, and the grade and the enrollments table is null. So it brings in all those tables, looks at all those like joins them where these fields equal one another. And then it just returns where that specific query where the first name is Tiana and the grade is null. Any questions?